Anna, you
Hi.
look very, very nice, first of all.
Thank you very much. So
When
do
you
you.
walked in, I said, this outfit is killer. Looking very
Thank
nice.
you so much. I know, I do feel like a 1950s Christmas bauble, but I love it.
I love the inspo. I love the inspo. Now, Anna, you're not only starring, but you're filming, you're producing in this new film, Alice Darling.
Yeah.
Now, I saw the trailer. This looks crazy. Now, I'm a big fan of you, but I'm a big fan of comedy, but you are really stretching the acting chops. Tell me about this psychological thriller.
Yeah, so it's about a woman in a psychologically and emotionally abusive relationship, and she goes to a cabin in the woods with her two closest friends, and sort of over the course of a week, they start to kind of peel back the layers of what's going on with her, and you're trying really hard to get her to see what's going on, which is a tall order. You know, when a friend of yours is in crisis or a friend of yours is suffering, you know, you want to just fix and, you know, help, and it's harder than it seems. Sometimes it's really hard to hear the truth, and it's hard to see the truth. So I just thought it was such a beautiful script, and yeah, it's definitely dark.
Well, I mean, Little's like, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty dark, but I just thought it just did such an incredible job of like taking you on this experience of being in a situation where you don't even trust yourself, you don't trust your perception, you don't trust your partner, yourself. Like being in that state of just such confusion is really hard to describe to people. It's really hard to identify when you're in it, and you know, for a script and a movie to really capture that feeling and you know, create it in the viewer is really kind of a magic trick.
Man, it's like, I saw the trailer and I was like, hey, where are we going with this? This is, whoa, this is deep. And you mentioned the script, reading the script. I think you said your rep gave you the script. Because you're at a part of your career now where you're like more discerning. You said about the roles that you want to do. What made you want to do this particular role?
Yeah, I mean, I'd been looking for something that was a little different and a little bit more restrained. I think that I had gotten in the habit of like kind of really performing for like each day and each scene, and I really wanted to build a whole performance over the course of a movie and trust that like even if the character for the first like 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the movie is like kind of a bummer, you know, just like not very likable, that the audience would like still be willing to come along and find out what's going on with her and invest in her and root for her. And that was a really like scary, vulnerable thing to try, but it was really rewarding and exciting.
Yeah, you said rewarding and exciting because there were some things going on in your personal life. I think you said you had been in an emotional, like abusive relationship.
So I, you know, I read the script, and a lot of people have asked, like, oh, what, you know, did you do a lot of research? And it's one of those things where you go, oh, I didn't have to do a lot of research, you know, and a lot of the cast and crew showed up in a similar situation. I think that if this is a situation that you've been in, you know, people read the script and just really resonated with them. You know, everybody from actors to like the makeup artists would you know, kind of like my first day on set, I was like, oh, I'm going to hear about 18 stories of people who've lived through something like this today, you know, and it was really like overwhelming but really beautiful that people wanted to show up and just really like open their hearts and give everything to this movie. And it was such a special set and a special place to be able to explore those things because everybody understood, and it was like a really magical place to be.
When you're on a set like this, it could be intense. You're doing these roles, and like, do we still have you kind of like, do you have to tell a joke to bust, like to break the ice? Can you like play games? Like how are you handling this?
I know, it's so funny. It's like there's almost times where like you're so in it for so long all day every day that like you like laugh at inappropriate jokes, and and
that's needed. That could be needed at times.
Totally.
Like, you know what? Okay, let me get this off my chest real quick, then I can go back in and do this
that's
scene.
completely
You know what I mean?
right. That's completely right. Yeah. And I was staying at this like weird little like boathouse thing, and I had a dock off of the edge, so like people would come and hang out on the weekends, and we'd all just like lie in the sun and swim and stuff. So yeah, you have to like find those moments of levity when you're making like a really heavy film.
Oh, absolutely. If I was one of the crew members, I would be like encouraging it, like, okay.
Well, the crew members get to, because we were filming by a lake, and the crew members would get to swim at lunch. So like they get to, and we're like, the cast is like in their wardrobe and their hair and makeup, like, okay, I'm really happy for you guys. And they're like coming out after lunch, just like sparkling in the sun, coming out of the lake. We're like, really happy for you guys. That looks really refreshing.
I would be jealous. I would be jealous of the crew. So now that we finished it and it's all wrapped, how are we feeling today? Just looking back on this, tackling that character, How do we feel today?
I feel pretty good today, and I feel like something that's important for me that actually the film kind of explores is that the most important thing that you can do as a friend or as a support system if somebody that you know is in crisis like this is to be able to be around them and show up for them even when they're not okay. So as much as like I have days where I'm okay, I still have days where I'm not okay, and the most valuable thing to me is that I have people in my life who are still willing to be around and be in a space with me and not try to convince me everything's fine.
Yeah.
You know, that like me being okay isn't a requirement for me to be in their lives. So I think that that's one of the things the film talks about, and it's such a beautiful thing, and I think it's the most difficult thing to do as a friend because you want so badly to be like, just do this or just do this, or you're fine, it's all gonna be fine. And to actually just sit and go like, everything's really bad right now, but I'm here is really hard, but it's the most valuable thing you can do.
Alice, darling, it's so intense. I love talking and seeing you in this role, but I also like to take fans back to the history. Back in 2007, you did Up in the Air with George Clooney.
Yeah.
Now tell me a little about that. What was it like working with Mr. Suave, George Clooney?
I mean, he is like just one of the best human beings on the planet. Like everything that you want him to be, he is.
Yeah.
So I was so blessed to have that as a breakout role, and to have him as the person that I was working with the most, because he was just so generous and again, like just was so cool, just such a leader, and I was really, really lucky.
Is there like a favorite, or do you remember your first day on set? With George Clooney?
The first day on set we were doing something on like a moving walkway, in the airport, those people movers.
Yeah.
We were doing something on that, and like right before we started the first take, he goes, "Oh, do you get nervous when you start a movie?" I get so nervous. And looking back on it, I'm like, no, you don't. You have been in this industry for so long. But it was such a generous thing for him to say to me because I was terrified. And for just that moment, I thought, oh, he gets nervous too? Oh, okay, so we're both nervous, so I don't have to be so nervous. And like, it just like loosened me up, and it was like little lessons like that were so beautiful to get that early in my career and like be able to move forward, because it was just like such a simple thing for him to say, but it meant so much to me, and it was so smart, so yeah, that was a really kind thing.
Now, how did that movie do for your career back then? Was that one of those pivotal moments?
Oh, yeah, it was funny. I remember when that movie was about to come out, and people liked the movie and they were seeing the movie, and I remember somebody telling me, this is going to be great for your career, but you should know that what you're going to get offered for the next year and a half is just like the uptight girl in a skirt suit, because people are not creative, and that's what they'll see you as. And he was like, but that has been happening to like Meryl Streep her entire career. It doesn't matter where you're at in your career. It doesn't matter how much range you've shown the world. It'll just be like, whatever you just did, why don't you come do that again for our movie now? So it was a really interesting piece of advice, and that has been really true. Like whatever my last movie that just came out, like I'll get offered things that are just exactly that character, rather than, which you'd think like, don't you want me to not? Like, wouldn't that be so cliche and lame for your movie if like I gave the same performance in your movie? So you'd think it would be like, oh, let's have her do something totally different. But it was a nice thing to hear, because it was like, oh, okay, so it's not about me. It's just about like, I'm always gonna, everybody in every industry, part of the industry, is gonna have to be pushing to prove like I also do this other thing.
Yeah. And you would think in Hollywood it'd be more creative going on than that. You'd be like, oh. Now, we mentioned Twilight. I want to take it back. Over 15 years of Twilight. Now, did you know that franchise was going to be as popular as it was?
No, I was telling somebody recently that on the first Twilight, that we had to throw our own wrap party. I think it was maybe Ashley Greene who like threw a little wrap party when we all got back to LA, because like that's how much it was like, I don't know, maybe this movie's something like, but like no one even wanted to give us like a little wrap party at a bar when we wrapped the movie, because it was just like some tiny movie that probably wasn't going to make any money. And so like Ashley, I think it was Ashley, had a little wrap party at a bar. And
oh my God.
And then like by the time it was the next one, it was, I'm sure, I don't even know if I was around for that wrap party, but I'm sure it was like a blowout.
Right.
So it's really wild. Like people don't believe me when I'm like, oh, we had no idea. But really, it was like they were definitely like treating us like some little movie, you know. So it was wild, and it was so huge.
But when 2 came out, because I didn't see 1 in the theater. I was late on the whole vampire. Okay, I saw 2, and then I went back and I saw 1 at home. So do you have a favorite memory? Just I know it's a long time ago, but is there something that sticks out to you that's like, oh, wow?
I mean, so much of that movie was like so bitterly cold that I feel like I don't have a ton of like specific moments on set, but I did always love like that they would just kind of like let me do my own thing. Like on the second movie, they kind of like wrote this moment of me and Kristen Stewart like walking out of a movie theater, and they were just sort of like, oh, just like, you know, say whatever you want, you know. And I ended up like going off on this thing about zombie movies and whatever. And it was also basically just to like make this director friend of mine laugh, and then they like they kept it in the movie, and I was like, hey, look at that. So I felt like it was there. I was definitely encouraged on those movies because I'm not like playing a vampire or a werewolf, or like I'm not involved in like, you know, the eternal battle for good and evil. I just like show up and say stupid things and try to make people laugh. So it was such a dream job. Right. It was heaven.
It worked. It worked for that movie. Now, last we want to take a throwback to is Pitch Perfect. A classic. You get this asked all the time, I'm sure, so I don't even know how to even ask this to you, but tell me about the sisterhood, about
I know. I feel really corny when I say like, oh, they're my family, but truly they're like family because you don't choose your family. You know, like your friends. You know, you build what your chosen family is as an adult. But those girls, I happened to just, you know, somebody else just said, hey, you guys are all in this movie, and this is, you know, and we didn't. Again, we had no idea that movie was going to be as successful as it was, and that we would make 3 of them, and so it was like, oh, we're connected for life, and in this weird circumstance where we didn't choose each other, and we're like from such different walks of life, and yet we have so many of the same interests, and so we have this big like group chat, and
the group chat, the infamous group. Okay, who's on the group chat? Give me who's on the group chat.
Well, actually, I think the last thing that happened on the group chat is Esther Dean, who played Cynthia Rose. She's definitely the most likely to just send like, oh, like remember this picture from this day that we were filming or whatever, and she just sent through a video of the day. I think we were filming the opening number of the second movie where there's like a balloon drop, and all the balloons come down from the ceiling. And she sent this video of after they called cut and there were balloons everywhere. And I am acting so foolish. Like, I don't know what snapped in my brain, but I'm like a puppy in a playground. I'm just like, I'm running around and like kicking the balloons. Like you'd think I was on drugs or something. It's so crazy. It's very humiliating, but it's like such a joyful thing. So she sent that through, and that really made me laugh.
That is awesome. Okay, wait a minute. On this group now, because these group texts, I have a group text with some of my friends too as well. Are you on the group text the one who takes the longest to respond?
Yes.
Are you the?
Oh, easily.
So you're the one.
Easily. I'm absolutely the one that's like, is she dead? Like, but I have this weird thing where like I feel like I'm participating because I see all the things and I'm like, oh my God, and whatever. And then like I just don't realize that I haven't said like, oh my God, that's so cute or whatever. So like I feel like I'm involved, and then it's like, Kendrick, are you dead? I'm like, sorry, I am here.
Sometimes it's a little thumbs up or a heart. Like, like I'm one of those people on the text. I just do little emojis. I'm not really like, I do a gift or emoji. I don't really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, Now I know Rebel has to be on there as well, but tell me, Rebel, she's now a new mommy. Have you kept in touch with Rebel? Have you seen her new baby?
I haven't, because I just wrapped on Friday, but you know, obviously like when she told us, we were just over the moon for her, and like I'm so excited for her, and she is so happy, and like she's such a beautiful person. I love her so much. So I'm just so thrilled for her.